Welcome to another episode of Uptown Voices, where you'll meet the unsung heroes transforming Washington Heights, Inwood, Harlem, and the South Bronx. I'm Octavio Blanco, a veteran journalist. My co-host, Led Black, is the voice of Uptown. This is Uptown Voices.
What up, everyone? It's Led Black and my brother Octavio Blanco for another episode of Uptown Voices. Before I even introduce our special guests, make sure you make sure you subscribe to the podcast, show us that love, tell your people about it. That love is always helpful. It costs you nothing. Show us that love that we show you every week. But let's get to it. We have none other than Afro Latin Jazz drummer extraordinaire, my sister, an Uptown fixture on the music scene, Annette Aguilar. Annette, how you doing, sis? How's it going?
I'm good, Poppy. Good to see you guys. You guys look good.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you. And thank you. So, Octavio, how you doing, brother? You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited about this episode. Me and Annette go way back. We've shared many fun times. Annette has played at one of my events when I was president of NAHJ, one of our annual bashes. She and her quartet or trio that was there played all night for us, and we had a good time dancing to her music. Annette, I'm so glad that you're here. How you doing? How's your day been? Led, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited for Annette. Like Annette, I know you stay all over performing, traveling, so just want to thank you for being on the show and tell us how you're feeling. How's it going?
I feel good. It's pretty busy day today. It's been busy. It's just ever since Three Kings Day.
Right.
Playing this other body or feeding our asses
Early
off.
January. You stay busy. You stay working. God bless.
You stay busy.
Yeah, I like to, the band played on the float up there in the Museo del Barrio. And then, I teach all over, but one of the schools I've been teaching for a long time is Celia Cruz Bronx High School of Music. It's like the school for the last 20 years I've been there. I'm like the percussion teacher, come in once, twice a week, pretty faithful. And today, it's like the LaGuardia in the Bronx that happened. And it's really good for our Black and brown kids to have that kind of schooling up there. And just people in the Bronx, too. Not just, it's not exclusive, but that's, the Bronx. I don't have to tell you about the South Bronx and the Bronx. And today, my kids did really good at their adjudications. They did excellent and outstanding. So I was very happy. Yeah, it's been quite busy.
You stay busy, and you're like so energetic. Not only are you busy and energized because you're performing in all these places, you're also teaching, but also you're a runner. You've got a high energy, plus the instrument the percussion is not exactly a low energy kind of instrument, So
right.
How do you do it? How do you stay so energized?
Well, I love what I do. It's work. We love what we do. Like, you love what you do, but it's work. Like when you did that thing in Midtown when we played, it's a pain in the ass. Oh, by the way, what kind of words I can't say? Tell me.
Any words you want.
You say whatever you want. You say anything.
Yeah. Octavio has a foul mouth. Not me, but Octavio has a foul mouth.
Oh, yeah, right.
I love what I do, but there's, I just, I do teach, I do the math. I've done a lot in my career for sustainability. I educated myself, and, I got 2 masters. I don't know if you know this, but I got 2 masters. I got one from the Conservatory, Manhattan School of Music, when I first came to New York in the mid-'80s in Washington Heights.
Wow.
Okay? Mid-'80s. When
that's
it
real
was
Washington Heights.
burning.
Right.
People don't know. I saw everything. I see you, but I saw that, I was there on 155th Street, going to grad school from San Francisco. I wanted to come to New York. And I remember my partner at the time, when I walked up to Broadway, it was a mess up there. Because, St. Nicholas was forming the formation of the crack that was happening in the Heights.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
was, I don't know, whatever you wanted to say. I mean, there's a lot of good things, bad things, but that was happening during that
Yeah,
time.
the lower heights were the epicenter of crack. Yeah, at the
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah. And I was like, and she goes, "Do you want to go back to San Francisco?" And I go, "I came here. I'm at grad school. I didn't want to go. I mean, San Francisco is a beautiful city." And it's interesting because I remember leaving and saying bye to my mother. And, my sister just had a baby, which was my niece, and that kind of kept my mother busy. So I could tell, my mother was a bit sad, And I didn't know, but we just recently lost our mother in December.
Sorry to hear
So
that.
Sorry to
yeah,
hear that.
whatever age they do, they go. It's a different situation. However, she was a force of nature. She raised 6 kids by herself, barely speaking the language. My mother was from Nicaragua, and so was my father. Everybody thinks, we say güerita. I mean, I think you understand, Octavio.
I get it
Yeah,
too.
same thing in Mexico.
I don't know if the Dominicans say güera. That's a
We don't say
Mexican.
that. We don't say that, but I know what it means. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Is it trigueñita in Dominican? Trigueña?
No, güerita means white though. So trigueñita
yeah,
means dark skin. Yeah, yeah. Trigueñita means dark.
the güera, and
Yeah.
so my mother worked very hard, and she also she first worked at Levi Strauss, and then she got a job with the city in San Francisco. She worked in the district where Harvey Milk was.
Ah,
He met Harvey Milk. That was her friend,
Wow.
and she worked for the health department for 30 years. And that's when he became. It was well, she got the gig in the late 60s, and he came in the 70s, and it was a safe haven for me to be in the Castro. It was Castro,
Right.
the Castro, San Francisco. And my mother said, "Don't worry, you come meet me for lunch. No one's gonna bother you." And she was right. Of course, not to defend my friends, the people from the mission, but not in the mission during that time.
for those of you who don't know about the Castro district, it's LGBTQ friendly, let's say.
Yeah, and so the workforce really came from her because she worked 30. She worked for the Levi Strauss, and she worked 30 years for San Francisco. When she retired, she got a proclamation for Willie Brown, then the mayor, for called Argentina Aguilar Day. By the way, my middle name means Argentina. It's my mother's name, and my mother's not from Argentina. Yeah, so she never, she didn't call in sick. That just didn't exist. Only if she had surgery or something really important. She went to work. That's why, for me, I'm kind of if I'm complaining about something, I think about her. I think about my abuelita. I think about how the hard they work. It was, your parents, your grandparents. There was nothing about bullshit. You
Yeah.
freaking showed up.
You showed up. Yeah.
These days, somebody has a headache, and it's unless it's a migraine, but somebody has a headache. It's oh no, I got to see my therapist.
So the work ethic comes from your mom, and that. Where does
Yeah.
the drumming? Where's the love of music come from?
The music comes from growing up in San Francisco. We were in there's the Mission in Noe Valley, and it's Noe Valley was I mean, people say it was upscale. It wasn't. It was, but it was a working class neighborhood where Irish, Italian, Latinos were buying houses. Okay, but they were working classes, and they were able to. I mean, if you had a little bit of money, you saved, whatever, you can buy something. You didn't have to be a freaking, work for Silicon Valley.
Right. Right.
And then the Mission was right there. It's just a block, 2 blocks. It's like the Heights, and then you got the Mission. You got the Inwood.
Right.
Sly and Family Stone, Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, all come from San Francisco. Okay, I like the Beatles. Then, of course, my mother was the Latino with the boleros and all that stuff. Then Carlos Santana came out, and that was in the Mission, and that was Latin rock. No offense to my guy, where is he? No offense to Mr. who I had a chance to play with Tito Puente, but anybody who popularized internationally the music was Santana. Sorry. Because Oye Como Va was written by Puente. but made famous. And Puente really liked that Santana played Oye Como Va. Made him a rich man. Well, I don't know rich, but well, whatever. We don't.
Yeah.
Probably did.
Oye Como Va, Santana played it. And that
Yeah.
was by Puente. So that was happening. And we had a park called Dolores Park, and people played drums. And I started playing drums first, and it was part of the community. It was a community situation. And people love music. They get together. They have dances at the Catholic schools, have workshops. And it was just something that, a lot of my friends would go to that workshop. They played. One guy named Carl Peraza, who's played with Santana for 38 years, not 30, 30 years. I met him when he was like 10, and we were 10, we were playing. And he became Santana's percussionist. It's just, and playing music. So that's really what that came from. But one
And
thing
how did it become Afro Latin Jazz? Like, how did you find that path?
thank you. Very good question. Well, this is interesting. We started the Santana Latin stuff, and people started going into the Latin music and then started studying, doing research, and then the salsa era broke out in San Francisco. Willie Colon came to San Francisco in the mid-'70s, and everybody went to that concert. So all the New York people, Fania All-Stars, Willie Colon, and then my brother had a band called Típica Cienfuegos, and a brother of mine named, brother by soul, John Santos, started a band called Típica Cienfuegos and started studying the Afro-Cuban stuff. We really started learning that it was Cuban music. Of
Right.
course,
That's right.
it's Cuban music. And, but Johnny Pacheco, of course, Dominican Johnny Pacheco, Fania, embracing because of the embargo and what was going on, started the whole thing of the marketing of salsa. Then you study more later in the 40s, in the 30s, and the 40s, son cubano. You study about Chico Ferro. You study about Mario Baza, Machito. I mean, those guys, Mario Baza, coming here in the 40s. He didn't come here for the winter. They came here from Cuba. He came here to the jazz that was happening here. So the study of the Afro-Cuban came more for the root of it, because I'm a drummer. I got to know where this comes from. Yoruba, West African, the people of Yorubas. And then we started all studying this stuff because everybody in San Francisco started studying the people that I was with and how embraced New York was because of all these great bands. Of course, Fania. I mean, we love Pacheco. We loved, Celia Cruz, and all the people from New York. And people forget how many, the combination of people that were in that band. Of course, more Puerto Rican, but Pacheco's Dominican. Mario Rivera, who played with Puente, was Dominican. And then you have the Puerto Ricans and the Jews. A longtime player, Larry Harlow was part of Fania. And then so was Louis Kahn, who was a Jewish, because a lot of the Latin music came up to the Catskills. And the Jewish people really embraced it, That's very interesting. So that I wanted to study. And a lot of people don't understand that a lot of the Cubans all went to the conservatory and studied classical music.
Wow.
And
Did not know that.
yeah, charanga, strings, flute. A lot of the musicians today, like Elio Villafranca, Omar Sosa, they all went to the conservatory. And because, I was just in Cuba in January. It was my second trip. This year was kind of hard because we had to, because of shit that happened in Venezuela, and we didn't know
the siege that America's doing on Cuba unlawfully right now. Yeah.
Look, man, it's like, why don't people just let people live? Just let them live their life. Let them have a nice place to live, have food, have a vehicle, a bicycle.
Yeah.
Why do people gotta fuck with everybody?
Yeah, and I don't mean to veer, but Trump said the other day, he's like, we could free it, we could take it, we could do whatever we want. Like, this is sovereign people. Like, it's just so messed up. And I think we don't talk about Cuba enough and what's being done. But I'm glad you were able to go, because I think it would be a big loss to have America just take that country over.
Yeah, and I want to just say one thing about Mexico. They've been going through the embargo, and they've been delivering aid. So big up to Claudia Scheinbaum and Mexico for doing that, for sending that aid, but it's not enough. Cuba is struggling right now. But
No,
yeah, it's terrible. But I don't want to like veer too far into the public affairs policy stuff about Cuba, because this is about you, Annette, and I know that that's important, and I know that that's, that trip was important. So, like, tell me about your trip, and beyond the difficulty that people are experiencing. You say you've been in Cuba twice now. What's it like to be there, considering that people are suffering? But I do feel that Cubans have resilience. Do you see that on the streets? Do you see
I
people
see,
playing their music?
there's a lot of people playing their music, and it's my second trip. I went with Arturo Ferro because I've been working with him with Bronx Banda for the last 6 years with Casita Maria. And I, gotten close with him and musically, and both of his parents are buried there.
Wow.
Uncle Ferro is buried there, and we went to the gravesite last year, and very
Wow.
emotional for him.
I can imagine.
Look, I just lost my mother, and we just did a gig. I did with Bronx Banda with the Afro Latin Jazz Orchestra. I just did a gig in Museo, and I had just got home from my celebration of life, my mother, and then we were rehearsing. And Arturo looked at me, and goes, "You look sad." I go, and he came and gave a hug. Because his mother's loss is not always the same. So he was very sad going to the cemetery last year. I went there with La Bruja, came. Caridad was on that trip. A lot of great educators were on that trip, and it was a little bit lighter last year because right before Humpy got in,
Right.
but this year, we had to have some precautions if we had to like get out, either go Panama or Canada or whatever the fick was going to happen. I wanted to go, but we went anyway. We went. They're very resilient. We played the Havana Jazz Festival. It was the second time I was invited to participate with Arturo. The musicians, string quartet, a dance company, a young, youthful, beautiful Black Cubans mixed, and amazing musicians, and the vestibule. There was a lot of blackouts. And I know one time we had to wait about an hour or two for our car to come because you couldn't get gas, and just, I feel very safe there. It's very, I've been, I've been to Rio. Rio's not safe in certain places unless you're with, but Cuba, there were some people who had some things and see people who don't, and people who are talking about who are in business and we're concerned about certain things that they can't get. We bring stuff. I bring a lot of materials like medical stuff. And then we go to a school that used to be a golf course after, during Batista. It was just a golf course for, people, there's nothing like, if you have extra money, fine, but don't be a pig. The golf course now is a music school, and it's beautiful. I don't see anything wrong with there. Look, you can have a golf course here, but you don't have to have many of them. My brother
Right.
plays golf, but it's just
Right.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not golf per se. It's what it represents, right? Yeah.
You don't have to have 50 golf courses in one freaking coño place. Have one here, one there. Get a ration. Just measure it out.
No, I feel
And
you.
that-
I feel you.
That Cuban music, I've been studying it for a long time, and a lot of my friends have gone there for many, many years. They're the source that made that habanera go all the way around the world. Cuban song.
Yep.
Everybody has different stuff. Dominicans have merengue, they have palo, and they have bachata, but the bachata via the bolero.
Right.
And then you have the Puerto Ricans who have bomba. Bombas kick ass. But bomba, that you find that rhythm in Brazil, like Bayonne. And then the planet. I know I move around here a lot, but I I've loved Bad Bunny for the last 4 years, whatever. I mean, I love him. And I get these jazz musicians, getting on my ass about it. Oh, screw yourself, man. Who plays plena in the beginning of the Grammy, the traditional plena? Well, what do you mean plena? What do you mean they play plena? It's a fucking Puerto Rican rhythm from Puerto Rico. I don't
Right.
see, I mean, what are you going to dog Bunny about? I mean, really? I mean, this was a couple years ago when he was on the Grammys doing that. And it's just like, these are people, I just won't, too much.
Well, that's one thing about you, Annette, that I love is that you're so down to earth. You are obviously like one of the most highly educated people out there in terms of the music that you play and the music that you know. I mean, people may not understand just like your status, but I mean, you've traveled the world, like around the world with this music. So it's not like it's not just like anybody can do that. So that's one thing. But at the same time, you're such a community person, we see you playing at the local restaurants and I don't know that, and we see you playing at the local festivals, and I don't know that people really realize what a treat it is that they're getting when they have you. The one question that comes up in terms of like where's the wildest place that you've ever traveled to with your music? I mean, was it Asia?
Wow.
Is it
We were in Rwanda.
wow, Rwanda?
Yeah, I stayed at the Rwanda Hotel.
Wow, where the massacre happened.
Yeah, but we were there now during that time. I mean, we were there, it was 2003. This is one thing I have a bug in my ass about the Kennedy Center. Okay, because I love the
The
Kennedy
Trump Center. Get it right, Annette. It's the Trump Center. Our president needs to be respected, okay?
I'm swearing interview. The fuck center. I shouldn't say that. I don't want my kids listen to me. I shouldn't be swearing like that. I usually don't swear on social media.
It's okay.
But I feel like sometimes no, because Dr. Billy Taylor, who started Jazzmobile and the education thing, he was the artistic director of the Kennedy Center. And I met him through the late Stanley Cowell when I was playing up in I was up at Lehman College. And he got a hold of Billy Taylor to get a hold of me, and he told me Billy Taylor has the Mary Lou Williams Women in Jazz Festival. You got to submit the CD to this. This is my first CD. This is a good CD. It was the first one, yeah. And that's how. And I did, and I was invited in 2001 to play at the Kennedy Center, at the Mary Lou Williams Jazz Festival. And who was playing that time was Cindy Blackman was playing before she was Cindy Santana. A lot of people were playing. Maria Schneider was, the time I went back again, I met Esperanza Spalding. She was playing. Annette Cohen. All these great. Janet Siegel from Manhattan Voices. The Manhattan was a transfer. And but Dr. Billy Taylor had the Latin Jazz Ambassador. There used to be Jazz Ambassador because back in the day, they call it the good nature or goodwill thing. They travel, So
Yeah, Goodwill Ambassador.
Goodwill Ambassador. There was a lot of Louis Armstrong did that. I know Charlie Bird did that. He went there. He went to Brazil and turned Stan Getz on to the bossa nova, the Brazilian music. They didn't give him credit too much for that. But Billy Taylor loved Afro-Cuban music, and he wanted to have a Latin Jazz Ambassador thing. So 2001, I played. And then in 2002, this whole audition thing happened. I didn't even know about it because I was trying to record for my second album. And I go, where are the musicians on this date? They're busy. They're busy doing what? They're auditioning for the Latin Jazz Ambassadors for the Kennedy Center. Why didn't I know about it? Because nobody wanted to tell you. So, but a friend of mine told me. And then I emailed them and they invited me to go to audition. Forget about the paperwork. I was invited. And I did some hard work with this quartet. This was 2002, October, and we got in. It was about, we beat like 150 quartets of application, and then 50 who auditioned. We got it. we did the music. But we went to South Africa, went to Swaziland, where I met the American ambassador, African American guy. I'm still friends with him. Swaziland. Remember, in Swaziland during that time, I don't. It's called something else now. It's not
Is it
Swaziland.
Rhodesia? Is that
No,
what
it's
it
not
is?
Rhodesia. It's another name. Well, it was Swaziland. I still have the flag. Anyway, we went there where Swaziland, a woman was not allowed to travel without the consent of her husband. You can't be gay. You can't have same-sex person relationship. But we were there, I was. They didn't kick me out while I was with the embassy. And then we went there. We went to Namibia, Botswana. We went to Swakopmund, which is the far west. Went up to somewhere else. And the last trip was in Rwanda. And we were at a school. We went over. I had one. It was really interesting. We were at a school. And the director there invited me to work there for 6 months. And I'm like, I think I'm going back to Inwood. It's okay. But that was interesting. Being in Rwanda.
And
How long
then
were
you got
you
a
in
big
Africa
Mother's
for?
Day. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. How long were you in Africa for that whole time? And
We
by
were
the
there
way,
for
the Swaziland is now known as the Kingdom of Eswatini.
Eswatini, yeah.
Eswatini.
I like how you Google that like you knew it. Don't pretend like you knew that. Okay,
I was
please.
looking. I
By the
Googled
way,
it. Yeah.
it's the Kingdom of Eswatini. Like, that's Google.
Yes, it is.
I did the same thing.
that was a 6-week tour. That first tour, a month, 6 weeks. And then I came back. And what was really good, because I was teaching in the South Bronx at the time, and I had a great principal. Even though I went to school, second master's, get certified, do all that crap, I didn't want to, I liked DOE, but I didn't want a full-time thing because I didn't want to be like held hostage. So I taught in the South Bronx, which was 3.5 day, 4 day. I had some, I got benefits and stuff like that. But this principal would let me take off, get a sub. That wouldn't happen in DOE if I had a full-time something. And so, yeah, I was gone there for 6 weeks. And then
And wait, I was gonna ask you something real quick before we move on. You move so fast.
sorry.
I need to rein you in a little bit to ask you some questions because the music, as we said, is Afro Latino, and so there you are in Africa playing Afro Latino music to
Latin,
Africans.
we called it Latin jazz.
Latin jazz. So, what was the reaction to the music by the African, especially the youth who maybe hadn't heard Latin jazz before, and they're hearing, maybe sometimes they might even be hearing their own music being played back to them in a different way. What
Yeah,
was that like?
they were very responsive. When I was in Namibia, I went to school and taught them the picadillo, Tito Puente on the marimbas, playing tumbos and rhythms. And it's just something different. It's like something that was created, because Latin jazz was created here in New York City. I mean, it's Cuban, but with these compositions like Tanga from Machito Mario Bauza were the first things of Latin jazz, because jazz is, it's a Black African American art form, the blues, so that happened here. Didn't happen, but the clave is from Africa and coming to Cuba, coming to New Orleans. And, of course, unfortunately, the enslaved Africans brought that rhythm, but the combination of the blues, the European harmony, well, jazz harmonies and European things, because that's influence in the conservatory. I mean, like Bach, he's an improviser. So I'm trying to, so they could understand that, because I had a great piano player with me on one of the second trips, and he would teach them jazz chords. And some of them were familiar with that. We would do workshops and we talk about Puente, we talk about the Brazilian samba, certain composers that happen, because America United States is so responsible for a lot of great music. James Brown, hip hop, South Bronx. That didn't happen in Brazil. Didn't happen in Cuba. It happened
Mm-hmm.
here.
Right.
And I, sometimes I'm going to have to say this, and I'm going to say it. Sometimes there are some gringos who start talking about how there's no groove here and this music comes from over there. Okay, go tell that to James Brown.
Mm-hmm. Right.
They
No,
like
you're right.
this music from here. This is jazz. Jazz. Duke Ellington.
Right.
Lee Marcellus. Whether you like him or not.
Right.
I
And Dizzy
love
Gillespie, right? Dizzy Gillespie brought in Chano Pozo, who changed. Right. So yeah.
Dizzy Gillespie, and then Dizzy Gillespie with Chano Pozo being a black Cuban who was in the Albacore Society. I mean, he was a little rough, but then there was other people before them, Candido, Patato, and then the women, Mary Lou Williams, a black woman in Harlem, taught a lot of these people. She taught Monk. All the
Wow.
jazz musicians were going to her apartment and studying with her. That's why Billy Taylor started the Mary Lou Williams Women in Jazz Festival. I mean, if you saw what's going on right now, you'd roll over his freaking grave.
I love this about you, and that you're not only an excellent practitioner, but you're just like a font of information and history. Really, it's really incredible. Are you? I mean, this is an honest question. Are you planning, or do you have you ever considered writing a book or anything like that?
I'm trying to get more disciplined. No, I am disciplined. I thought about that. I have a lot of young friends who were telling me, a lot of young scholars. They're in college, their late 20s, early 30s. They're very bright. And I said, say, man, I think you should start shutting this stuff down, which is, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about, I like to practice and like to study, and I like to learn from people. There's so much to learn out there. I have
Yeah,
that. But yeah, possibly, yes. I think I need to just start writing, and you know how everything is. You guys are busy. Led, you're busy,
yeah.
Poppy. Octavia, I've been practicing, trying to utilize my time in the best way I can on the meditation of practicing, taking care of my body. Because I run with the Dykeman Run Club. But last year I had 2 injuries. And a lot of the guys on the club, the guys and girls, so most of the guys had injuries after the marathon and couldn't run. But there's other kinds of exercise, bike, walk. I do a lot of weights because women need to do weights because our bones are different than guys, So, but keeping, I mean, I like to go out and, have my cervecita or whatever, but I'm not going to be there all night, all day. 'Cause
Those
I want
days are over.
to get up and have a cup of coffee,
We're not closing down the bar. We're not getting locked in anymore. A
not every
Piper's
night,
kilt.
I mean, you
Once in a
remember
while.
the Piper's Kilt? I
It
remember
was
when I used
it
to
was
go
a
to the
great
Piper's
place.
Kilt in the early days, because that was the best place to get the burger in the early 90s, you know. And you look at, I grew up eating frijoles, so I don't need to go eat frijoles, beans and rice. And by the way, I mean, I love Dominican chicken. I like the yuca, and the yuca was really good for me because it was good for the marathon. So I would eat Dominican yuca with eggs for marathon thing. But the habichuela is a little bit too many gravy for me. I need beans. So anyway, we used to go down to Piper's Kill, and I remember, man, all the Irish guys in there. I mean, those guys were they were like the living dead sitting at the bar.
Some of them were, but yeah,
I mean, I'm
you
not
get
saying
into
all of
the.
them. I don't want to get notes like I'm. Hey, no, I mean,
It was a
listen,
great place. Shout out to Tommy and Scotty and
Mike, man, Mike,
Fred and
yes.
Mike, all those guys. Katie.
I tell you, let's get real. Katie, turn around that place, man. You and I had this conversation about it because we're going to talk about the closety Inwood. It was a closet case. I remember, I mean, when I was touring a lot, I could talk about this now because I'm like, I'm good. I meet a lot of different people I had a lot of different girlfriends from different places, Toronto, West Coast, whatever. I mean, I wasn't like cheating or anything like that, but whatever. But they would come here and come visit me, and they want to walk down the block and hold hands. So, no, we can't do that here. What? We have to wait to go to the village. This is closet. We're not in San Francisco, hon.
It's different.
It was the closet hang. And not until Katie, if anybody who brought out anybody out in the neighborhood and brought the gays to the Piper's Kilt was Katie.
Made them feel safe.
What's that?
Made them feel safe and welcome.
Feel safe. And she created a safe ground for a lot of people. It was good. She didn't even know what, she was doing, but she did know what she was doing, but she opened that up. She turned that place around.
It was just natural for her to do that. So how's that changed? Is it less so? Is it more accepted now? Is it is it still very, very taboo, or is it not quite as
changed,
taboo?
God. It's changed. The last, I'm talking 90s. The 90s is already 30 years ago. Jesus.
Yeah.
It started to change, I would say 20 years ago, and then it got better 10 years ago. Because I remember I would see some guys walking down the block on Dykeman, and I said, cool. But now places like Tryon is the most out place. Tryon is. They have the most diverse crowd. They have the Dominicans, they have everybody going into Tryon, And look at Niall's not paying for me this back. He needs to have the band back in there anyway, Niall. But no, but it's better. It's a lot better. I mean, I guess 20 years ago, but it was rough back then.
It's something that I just learned. I met somebody in the Jewish community, and they told me that this neighborhood, if you are an Orthodox Jew, it's and you're also LGBTQ or queer, that this neighborhood is like the one place in America where queer, gay Jews feel safe and feel welcome. Isn't that wild? I never knew that.
Never knew that.
So
I didn't know that either, but
yeah. So there you go. It looks like it's changing everywhere. Annette, so you're involved in jazz. You're in jazz educator, but there's a lot of jazz in the neighborhood. There's like jazz wahi and all these things that are sort of like jazz. Jazz is like the happening thing right now. Are you also involved in all that stuff, like the jazz wahi movement and all the jazz festival that comes uptown? Are you part of that movement as well?
Well, the movement I've always been part of was with Eli Yeaman. He's an old friend, and I met him.
Jazz Power Initiative.
Jazz Power. Now, he is a bebopper. He studied with Barry Harris. He's a Bab MF, okay? He knows his stuff. I mean, he knows how to play, okay? And I'm just talking about him. I could talk about other people because they're friends of mine. But I met Eli, and I started doing stuff up here because I wanted stuff, because I learned that from the Brazilians and the Cubans to have community. I learned it in my community that you had music. I mean, they were even doing it downtown in Guantanamera when it was Azuca, Perito Martinez, and they were playing by the window and made that place. And the same thing up here. I mean, Garden Cafe used to have that when, they were doing that myself. But I'm involved with Jazz Power because he does education for kids. His thing is about educating youth. These other places, I mean, I love Jazz Waha, they're great. They started, not as long as Eli's, but they're good people within the Heights. And they do a lot of good things. And then Aaron Scott, he's an African American, nice guy, and I played the first Inwood Jazz Festival with him in his festival, 2003. No, 2023. He played with McCoy Tyner for 15 years. So, and he brought a lot of the black jazz musicians up here,
Nice.
which I like seeing that, you know, because a lot of people, you have to give homage to the black jazz musicians, you know, and a lot of, I mean, you know, there's a lot of, it's always been a lot of racist stuff with things. Even, you know, there were certain band leaders back in the day that the producers would say, you can come, but don't bring your black musicians. That happened to Puente many times, you know. But one thing that happened in the West Coast was Cal Jader from San Francisco. Gringo on the vibes, Mongo Santa Maria, Black Puerto Rican Willie Bobo, Black African American Al McKibben playing bass. Vince Giraldi did all the music for Charles Schultz. That sextet playing in North Beach of San Francisco was the West Coast Latin Jazz. And they would play for, what's that guy who was Hugh Hefner? The Playboy guy?
The Playboy, Hugh Hefner, yeah.
The Playboy guy, there's a video on YouTube. This is the late 50s, might be 60s, that Jader's playing the Real Out the Vice and all black band because it's San Francisco, it's California. And they're like all the people listening and the black people sitting next to some, you know, do-up Barbie doll looking white girl, and just like they're swinging it. But sometimes some of the places you couldn't even freaking, you know, marry a black woman or a black man. Isn't that crazy? You know, it's such a control shit.
Such
who's
bullshit.
marrying is you or me?
Yeah.
Anything.
And
well,
Annette,
the trans thing. Who's being trans? You or me? Well, relax.
Yeah, exactly. Mind your business, right?
Mind your business. Exactly.
If I'm a vegan, you don't have to eat vegan. Go after chicharrones.
Yeah, exactly. Annette, going back to Eli and Jazz Power, you guys are doing an event on March 27th, right? For Mother's Day, right? For Women's History Month.
Yeah, and Eli, again, I'm gonna say this. I'm not saying because he ain't paying me under the table, because he ain't here. He started the Middle School Jazz Academy for Wynton Marsalis, middle school kids learning jazz. Jazz is a big word. And I was able to bring, on audition, they opened it up to the Bronx. I was able to bring my South Bronx kids that they can take the freaking 2 or D train down to Columbus Circle, play the Pell Room, get free lessons, get free all this stuff, and go back, you know. That's why he was there for, I don't know, that's 20 years he was there? I don't know. But anyway, he's always been that. And then this is an event that's happening here in Inwood. The building that the library is in that some people didn't want to have.
Yeah, the Liza.
Yeah, I like the Inwood Library. It's really nice the way they made the affordable housing and how beautiful the library is. There's the Eliza, and then there's the Axe Building, which is 4782. That's where this event's going to happen, March 27th at 7 p.m. I'm going to have a 20-piece orchestra. My band.
Whoa, 20-piece?
Wow.
Yep, I'm doing some. I'm hitting it. I'm taking the ride. There's a Brazilian piece that I learned a couple years ago that I just got a lot of players from Inwood who are really great musicians who live up here to come and be part of this orchestra. I mean, I have my band, my octet, but then I'm bringing in other musicians like a baritone sax, a bass clarinet, which is Paul. I can't say Paul's now. He lives in Inwood. He's a great musician. He wrote a book on merengue. And then there's he's a gringo. And then there's Michael Blake, great tenor player. And there's a lot of women. I'm going to have some great flute section, extra flutes, females, another female piano player, and some strings. And it's a celebration of our mothers. And it's from 7 to 9. 4782, the Axe Building next to the Elsa. Tickets, if you're a student, is $5. You can buy at the door, or you could get the Q-on cord. You got to go to Jazz Power's website, or it's actually, if you go to my Instagram, it's on my link bio, AAA Beans at Instagram. But it's going to be At 7 o'clock, you can go in there and get a ticket, and they're going to sell some wine and stuff, and they're not going to charge you the dyke bin prices. So, uh, I'm sorry. I know you're going to ask me a question. I go off like a freaking guinea pig, but
No, it's okay. That's what we're here to do, to talk. And one thing I want to
Yeah.
ask you, Annette, like, how has the reaction of these kids been? When they kind of, they encounter the music. You know what I mean? Like, what's their initial reaction, and then how do they come along with it? Like,
it builds. They like it because they're with people their age, and they're learning things, and they have camaraderie, community. Being together. Like I don't know if Eli's going to do another show. He did Noah's Ark. He did playwrights. He wrote this stuff like 25 years ago. Jazz. Remember, people get freaked out with the word jazz. Oh, jazz. Oh no, it's I mean,
Brainy. It's brainy.
it's too brainy. There's a whole thing. It's like food. Food has all kinds of combinations. Jazz is, Latin jazz is a big part of it. The kids really like it, and I did some concerts with them, and they really we did something for the children's hospital down at the Cipriani's, like in the fall. Like we did something, and they're singing up there, and they're doing some 4-part harmony and singing these tunes.
amazing.
It's cool because they got somewhere to go. They give them snacks, and it's like people always say, well, what do you, I want to do something for the kids. I go, I did like an after school or during a get snacks.
Get snacks.
Snacks help.
Snacks go a long way.
Snacks. And then, you want to get funding? Get like a little pizza or something and a little seltzer. No diabetes juice. No, my kids, I don't know soda. But you have to kind of you got to talk to the kid, man. So what do they want? I mean, when you were a kid, you knew what you wanted, right?
Yeah, for sure.
When you were
Hey,
10
Annette.
or 11?
Hey, Annette, you could be anywhere. You could be literally living anywhere in the world. You've got this skill that you could take with you anywhere, and you can make it work wherever you are. But you are in Inwood, New York City, Uptown Manhattan. What keeps you here? What keeps you coming back home? What is it about Inwood and Washington Heights and Uptown that brings you back every time?
Well, I mean, where I have good neighbors where I live. I'm on Payson. And I like Inwood. After when I used to live in Washington Heights on 155th Street, then I separated from my partner and I came up here. And I had the opportunity to even live in the East Village because I was teaching in the East Village. I didn't want to live down there. Too concrete. Parks. I was running a lot of marathons during that time. I ran 10, and I like the parks.
10 marathon.
Yeah, I did 10 back in, the day. And then also I have good neighbors. And unfortunately, we just lost a close neighbor of ours.
Sorry to hear that.
One day, yeah. I mean, I known him for 30 years. I mean, he wasn't that old. He was sick for a while. We're close friends for people that know the daughter, and some people in public know the daughter, and the daughter, I'm close with the daughter. So it's like,
Yeah, sorry to hear that.
He was
Sorry to hear that.
in his 70s. You don't die in your early 70s. Not today.
Too young.
When you get sick, you do. That's why you got to take care of yourself. You can't, be having that. So I see some friends of mine, they smoke cigarettes and shit. I go, that's the worst. You can't have, this kind of thing.
How do you keep your hands like? Your hands are everything. What was there a hands routine that you do? Like you put your hands like in coconuts or something? Like what do you do?
Put them in coconut.
I learned what they were learning in the conservatory. I learned a lot about technique. I mean, you don't have to like, like in baseball or something, or certain type techniques that you learn.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to not to pounce your head, And there are, I don't have to be like, like if you watch old videos of Mongo Santa Maria, he's like, "Wah," you know. But then you watch somebody like Giovanni Delgado, and he's like, there's a lot of different techniques. But I remember me playing on Broadway when I was playing on Broadway a lot in the late 90s, thousands. I would have these shows, 8 shows a week. And that's hard. And this one of them, I was playing a show called Street Corner Symphony. You know, you have to take care. You have to, like manteca de corojo, that kind of palm oil you buy in Harlem, and and I try to get better to, but I'm not pouncing every day because I also play, I play marimba, I play drum set, and and other things. It's like you got to make sure you don't. Like there's certain type of techniques, and a lot of the Cubans discovered that technique, and it comes from the Cubans, Tataquini, Changuito. But then one of the best conga players for me is Giovanni Hildado.
And then I just want to tell you, like I don't know, I know we've talked about. I don't know if I told you, like I felt really fortunate, like so I know I talked about this before, Octavio, that when I did my moth, which is one of like I think it's like my.
God, I'm
Thank you. You could curse. It was like my breakthrough moment for me, and it felt good to have you behind me and that, like, see, I was super nervous, right? I was super nervous about it. Like I did the moth out of love for the moth, right?
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I'm like, I'm gonna be on the stage with Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like, what am I doing? Like I was super scared until I got on that stage. But having you behind me, like just how you're a drummer, you're a backbone of the situation, having you there meant a lot. So I really want to thank you in that. Like I really, really appreciate that. Like I felt like you have my back, and it propelled me, and I think it was a great performance. But it was good to have you there.
That was a good story you told, man.
Thank you,
I didn't know you went to Bronx Science.
Yeah.
That's a badass because you're the very few Latino who get, like my niece and nephew went to Low High School, which is like the equivalent of Bronx Science. They were probably the 1% Latino.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
It's a game. It's funny you bring that up because you went to Bronx Science. And it's like when I would tell my kids in the South Bronx when they start acting up and being weird and stuff like that, I close the door and says, don't complain to me about the gringos who are getting into Bronx Science. You're not. It's harder for you, but you have to play the game.
You got to try.
And we fight to try to get you guys in there, but you have to wear the bow tie. It's a game. At the end of the night, you go home and you scream at the wall.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Annette. So we talked about lead. You did the moth, and I thought again. I also loved that moth that you did, and I didn't realize that you were there with him, Annette. That lead opened for Lin. Lin came on after lead. But my question is more about.
No, hold on. I have to correct you. He opened for me. I'm sorry.
Oh, he opened for you. My bad.
I
Sorry
closed
about
out the show.
So you went. Oh, okay. No, that it's even more pressure going on after Lin. Yeah. I can see that.
It was horrible because Lin was like he was like, so the moth is 5 storytellers. He was the third storyteller, then goes into intermission, and then it was Kiara from In the Heights, and then it was me. But Lin cried. His story was really sad, and I'm like, he cried. I'm like, how do you top Lin-Manuel crying? Like, what the hell, But just had a
emotional. I really love that guy.
Lin's the man. Love Lin.
And you know what? And like You're Beautiful, Ed, and Celia Octavio. And there's a lot of freaking bochinche out there that starts dogging people.
Yeah, I agree.
They just dog. It's like.
I love Lin. Always show love to him. He's a man.
Well, my question, my
power. He supports, certain things. Why?
Yeah.
Why are you hogging on this guy? What did he do to you? Well, you know what? They didn't have Chinese food down the block. What would you get mad about that? It's like It's like I was on Broadway when there was no Latinos in there playing.
Yeah,
I mean, I
agree.
did the Gabriel Marquez story, Gabriel Marquez, Chronicle of a Death Foretold from Lincoln Center in 1994. It was probably the first Latino shows. I mean, West Side Story is not a Latino show.
No,
Right.
no.
I mean, it's a
Right.
great show.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about because Lynn's dad, Luis, he's getting much more involved in the arts, and I think he produced the Buena Vista Social Club on Broadway. So maybe I think that's a good. Sounds like Latin music on Broadway is a hit now.
Well, it's like, I mean, those guys have been hitting the ball for a while. They know the Broadway thing because Lincoln Center did Chronicle of a Death Foretold with Garcelle Daniel as a producer, and it didn't last that long. Okay, unfortunately. And then came Cape Man. I worked on Cape Man, the Paul Simon thing. I was a sub. And my good friend and amazing person, Oscar Hernandez, who's the leader of Spanish Harlem Orchestra, who, by the way, is going to be playing with the New York Philharmonic Spanish Harlem. I think they're going to be at the United Palace, May the 9th.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And because they're doing New York Philharmonic at Geffen Hall, whatever their place is. And then because Dudamal is, it takes a Latino, to do it to wait a century. But in terms of Luis and, the show like In the Heights, I first saw In the Heights. I was going in to watch the book in 2007. They were at 37 Arts. And I walked in there and I'm like, I mean, I knew Luis because of Noma. I didn't know Lin well, but there was something that came out in the Manhattan Times about him that was printed. I mean, I think Michael Filston wrote the story, or I don't know who did, but this was 2007. And I went to the show to look at it, and I see the A train on 181st Street. I go, it was like a plot. I'm like, prop. I go, what is this? And I go in there, and then they start singing about Washington Heights, and I'm like, wow, how great is this? And it was, Alex, I can never say his last name right. Lacamere, great composer, Lynn's right hand man. He was conducting.
Lackamore, Lackamore, I think it is.
Yeah. It's amazing. Freaking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And watching them, and then they're up there, and they're like, yeah, this, and Lynn's up there, and I'm like, and then I went back, and I said, wait a minute, that's Luis's son. And then I read the story that he wrote this thing on when he went to Wesleyan and stuff. I said sophomore, and I'm like, and he, he's not Dominican. You gotta hand it to the guy. He's Puerto Rican. He's because of an Inwood. Of course, during Inwood was a bad time. I think Luis had to get his ass out of here before. But 90s. But he wrote the story in unselfishness of writing about a Dominican bodega owner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
He
agree.
could have wrote about Three Kings Day and El Museo de Barrio, my bandera, He didn't. He wrote about freaking Dominican bodega. Yep. That's what it's about. And the gentrification that was happening on 181st Street. Not 177th Street, 181st Street, because that shit was happening there.
That's right.
Yeah, and now his dad is really going to be focusing in on the arts. I think he's going to be. I can't wait to see what he's going to come up with next, because I think he's always been a fighter for Latinos all over the country, in New York and all over the country. So it'll be really interesting to see what Luis does next. What's that?
Didn't they raise $15 million for Hurricane Maria or for Puerto Rico? Was it 15 million or 10 million?
I don't know, but the guy can raise money. I know that. I'm not sure how much they raise, but I know that Luis, he's got something. He can raise money.
Walking up and down pacing. Hey, Luis. But I read his book. I like his book, Relentless. Did you read that book?
No, I never read it. No.
What is it called?
Relentless.
I'll read it for sure.
He was passing it out a couple of years ago at Noma, when Noma, the art show 2 years ago, was it 2 or 3? And I read it. I read the whole thing. I think, but it's just like, You look like, like you got a voice. And some people don't understand that voice. It's an Uptown Heights type of talk.
Mm-hmm.
People learn the way to speak. We all have dialects. And if people talking so much, this is what I've been trying to focus on. Try to avoid the distractions, discouragements, and that's how I survive. And the distractions. You got like freaking, how you guys went to Catholic school. I don't know, Octavia, I don't know if you went to Catholic school. You're from
No,
Mexico.
I
I
did it.
didn't. I didn't go. I did not go to Catholic school.
Well,
Public
didn't your
school.
abuelita drag you in the hair to go to the church in the morning? My abuelita. But it's like there's like some hidden demons in some of these people. They have nothing better else to do to dog people who are making stuff positive. Speaking of Broadway, when Hamilton came out, hello, you know, nobody's perfect, but people were like, what do you want? It's like going out with a bad date or something.
I love what
Yeah,
you say, though. I love what you say about ignoring the distractions and keeping focused. That's so important. So important. What's important to you, and just do that.
Well, you're married, so are you, but you weren't at one time. It's like, it's like I said, going out with having a bad girlfriend is like demanding. It's like can't make them happy. It's so that's when you have to exit. No, but this is powerful people. That Cape Man was a great show, but then when the Heights came out, it was a hit. It was great. But the success of Hamilton. I mean,
Well, that whole family is just like incredible. So it's so interesting and so wonderful that they still live in the area. That I see. I'm sure that they could have houses, and they probably do have houses all over. But I still see Lin, jogging in the park. It's so cool, and I know he sometimes shouts you out like, when you're walking on the sidewalk. Instead of like you're like the one person that Led wants your autograph.
no, that's not true. But Lynn's the man. I love Lynn. Super humble. Like I run into him like on the like just out of nowhere. And again, for as big as he is, I appreciate it. And I hear what you're saying, and like I get tired of it too. Sometimes we hate on each other just to hate. You know what I mean? And I'm not with that.
Yeah.
Lynn don't got to be Dominican to represent the Heights. You know what I mean? Like that's just stupid. And I love the film. I love the musical, and the musical's coming back. I think they're doing like a limited run in
oh really?
late, yeah, in late this year. So yeah, I love Lynn. But Annette, tell us a little bit. Okay, where can people follow you at? What's your website? Give us all the Instagram. So
What's coming up for you? Like,
I'm playing with Bronx Banda in the Bronx. And we're doing some writing. We just did the Museo. After this, I'm going to be doing the drum workshops again at Trinity Church. I was recently in New Mexico. I was I was invited to be the keynote speaker at this drum facilitator thing. I mean, about 100 people from all over the world, and I was there. So I want to continue that at Trinity. Father Galvin in Trinity Church, he's really supportive of the arts. He loves Latin jazz. I call him Padre Mambo, and he's a good salsa dancer. Yes, I can't. I've just got. I'm going to be playing a concert with the Association of Dominican Classical Artists. Another thing, I'm a classical percussionist. They're doing a concert April 15th on a Wednesday at Aaron Davis. They were supposed to do it during the winter with Adon. I know I have all these other gigs that are just. I'm going to be doing, and then the South Bronx Festival again in May with Arturo Farrell and Bronx Banda and Afro Latin Jazz Orchestra. We just combined writing. I'm getting into the writing thing, and there's some other gigs right now, but I can't even think about it because I'm so focused on this the 27th because I'm having 20 pieces.
and where can people follow you? What's your social media?
This is my social media is Instagram AAA Beans, like AAA Beans, AAA Beans. Okay, and Facebook Annette Aguilar and Stream Beans. I still have room in my regular page, Annette Aguilar. I used to have. I was one of the first people to have a website, but I got to get that back going. I had it. It was my pages are aguilarstringbeans.com. However, Instagram is really good. The social media is really good. I'm up on LinkedIn. It's hard to keep all this stuff up. I practice.
Yeah, I know.
I taught my kids this morning. Then where did I go? Oh, I was supposed to do some interview, and then there was some tech thing, and then I went to a rehearsal, and then I came over here, and I'm supposed to go see the Dykeman Run Club now. I mean, I'm not. I usually go walking with them till my leg gets better. But this is my the latest album. It's called In the North. This is a tribute to Washington Heights and Inwood. Okay.
Amazing. Where can we get it at?
Yeah, where can we buy that?
Get it from me. You send a message on Instagram and I'll mail it to you, or send you files. But you have to. It's on my Instagram, link in bio.
So you heard it there, folks. Go to link in bio. Cop that. Support Uptown art. Support
In the North.
Uptown Latin Jazz legend.
You can have it. It's going to be at the concert. Please come. You know what the thing is? People, man, you really need to come to this concert on March 27th.
Yeah, next Friday, March 27th. Stop playing. Show up.
It's like, it's like after that, then you could go hit the bars. Just
right.
And you're going to sell wine there anyway. So if you're really jonesing, so 7 to 9, you could buy tickets at the door. If you don't want to pay that $2 Eventbrite price, you don't have to. I have the link in bio for the Eventbrite. It's on my AAA Beans. And then I post and people can send me messages in Facebook. I answer these.
Yeah.
Nice.
And how much is it at the door? How much is it at the door? Do you know?
For regular people, $10.
$10. There you go.
If you're a student and you're a senior, it's $5.
Can't beat that.
That is a deal. That is a deal for people. That is like you don't know you're going to be getting a good show. That is a deal.
And we're trying to do a lot of things. Jazz Power. We're going to start doing the fall some, and I know. We're going to do some Sunday mambo salsa stuff at Trinity. We're going to start that in May. There's just a lot of stuff, man, that's happening. I mean, I had to turn down a gig on Saturday because I have to stay and practice, and
that's a good problem to have. That's a good problem to have, and that you know what I mean?
You're thriving.
You're booked and busy.
I gave it to a young percussionist, a female, Latina. And then I couldn't be here because I contract stuff. I couldn't be here for the Washington Heights 5K. I was in New Mexico. And I told them I can't be there, but I have a leader and 7 great drummers. Harlem Samba. Youth people. These guys are seniors in high school. To make the buck that they made for that morning was good for them. And they like to be together.
Yeah, I saw them on the corner one first.
That's why they were there.
Yeah, they were great. That was so fun. That was so fun. They're great. They were energetic. They were having a great time. That was awesome.
And I told the guy, I go, listen, I don't want them freezing out there, okay? Well, they should be there at 7:30. I said, no. They need to be there later. They start playing at 9. I don't want it's cold. And
it was cold. It snowed that day.
For a cup of coffee at Starbucks. But they did
snowed that day. They did really good. Well, Annette, thank you. Thank
you, Annette. No, I just want to everyone to subscribe to the podcast, like the page, do all that. And again, keep showing love to people like Annette, like the people that do the work, right? That you see them hustling hard for the community, spreading the love of the music, spreading the legacy. Annette, we can't thank you enough. Spread love is the Uptown way. Thank you, everyone. And check us out.
I got one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've been playing music at Galicia's. I was there last night with the Super Trio. These guys are badasses. They live in Inwood. They teach at Berkeley. They're great musicians. Lincoln Goins, Klaus Mueller. So we're going to be there next month. I'm going to be doing once a month on a Wednesday.
At Galicia's. That's on 207th, right? 207th.
That's on 207th. Spanish
Vermilia.
food.
207 Vermilia, right?
From España.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the original owner from the one on the one
He's badass.
Yeah.
And son, you want a freaking damn good cocktail? He kicks it out of the ballpark, man.
I'm gonna have to check that out
Nice.
soon. Then I'm gonna go on a Wednesday to check you out, Annette.
All right,
Thank you
we'll
so
be
much for
there.
being on the show, Annette.
Annette, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining us in this episode of Uptown Voices. If you enjoy our work, please consider making a financial contribution to Uptown Voices. Contributions go a long way. You can contribute by scanning the QR code on the screen or visiting bit.ly/Uptown Voices 2026. If you can't make a financial contribution, please spread the word about our show to friends and family. And to stay up to date on the latest in Uptown, you can follow Uptown Collective on Instagram, Facebook, and X. If you're watching Uptown Voices on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and to give us a like. Until next time, this has been Uptown Voices.